Welcome to day 30 of our Inktober Zentangle challenge. Today's tangle pattern is called Bownus by Angie Gittles. Let's take a look at how to draw this so we can add it to our composition. I just wanted to show this to you. It is an example of today's tangle pattern, finished and colored and shaded. But this is what we're shooting for. We want to create a bow, kind of like those that you would see on a gift or on an award or something like that. And we're going to do that very easily by following the basic steps of the step out pattern. So how does that work? Well, we start with a center orb. And we're going to draw several teardrop shapes that come out from that center that will form these ribbon shapes. This is the little teardrops. You can see them right there. So that's all we're going to do. We're going to draw those outward. And there's no set number that you need to use, but I would say at least 4. And you could certainly do more than that, 5 or 6, and still have a really interesting pattern. I'll just do a simple with 4 here. But once we have our teardrop shapes, we want to choose a side, left or right. It doesn't matter. It kind of just depends what direction you want your shapes to face. But I'm going to choose the right-hand side, and we draw a little line that curves up. And basically, we're creating the, in this case, the left side of this fold of our bow. And so we repeat that process on each of these shapes, just like that. And then we connect those together with the loop next to it, or the little teardrop shape next to it. And that creates our bow. And of course, you can make little ribbons that come down if you'd like, and that would come out behind. And then you can shade or embellish or color or do anything you like. You can even use this as a space for additional tangle patterns if you so chose. Now, you can also draw it very similarly, but with one less step. And some folks might find this easy, so I'll show you this. I'll draw my little teardrop shapes here. This time I did 5. Now, instead of drawing that line up and then connecting it, some people find that a little confusing and it can throw you off. So just in your mind, think that I want to complete this shape here. So we just complete it all in one step. We just bring that up and connect. And these could be as narrow or as wide as you'd like them to be. So there's no set pattern that way either. It's just whatever works given your layout and your desires with your pattern. And there we go. And again, if wanted, you can draw these little pieces that would come down, stick out the bottom. Now that we've taken a look at how to draw this tangle in its basic format, let's go ahead and add it to our composition. So I'm going to create that central orb. Then I'm going to draw my teardrop shapes coming up. Here I'm going to draw behind. And as you can see, I'm ending up with 5 of these little arms on my shape. And now that they're in place, I'm going to just create my ribbon pieces like this. And I call it ribbon pieces because my brain thinks of this as a ribbon that's been bunched up and a bow created out of it. But of course, I do not mean that it's a ribbon shape like this one down here, for example. I think on mine I will draw the little piece that comes down. The shape is in place, And I guess the placement is good to go for my layout, so I don't have to worry much about that. But what about my shading? What about embellishing it? Well, just to pull my example back here for a moment, you can see on this one I started to add some little shapes within there just to see what that would look like, and then ended up just shading the rest. Now, I think in this case, I don't want to over-embellish it, but I do want to add some more boldness and some more contrast over here on this side of my layout versus the other side. So I'm going to use some graphite, perhaps more than normal, and fill this in a little dark, but I want to create like a reflection on each of these petals. So what I will do is I'm going to shade on the bottom what I've sometimes referred to as a jagged edged shading or a jagged edge fill. And this is with graphite and not my pen. And you might think, well, why would you do that instead of just using your pen? Well, you could use your pen. But like I said, I want darkness over here, but I don't want heavy, heavy black. And I want to be able to blend this so that it doesn't look like a piece of white in this shape. So I'm going to use the graphite to allow me to add a sense of color to this ribbon and to this bow. I'm using a pretty soft graphite lead too, so that it will blend easily and it will create a little bit darker pattern. And I think too it's just fun to experiment with different ways of finishing a particular pattern. Not all things need to be inked or shaded in the exact same way, and so this is just a fun way to experiment with tone in my shading and in my shape itself. I'm going to just gently blend this, not so much with the idea of spreading it all over, but just smoothing out my pencil marks and bringing a little bit of that graphite into that white space. I'm just going to add some directional hatch marks that will let the eye know that that's a different area there that's tucked under, and maybe it's kind of in the shadow, but we're conveying the shadow differently this time. Instead of conveying it with graphite, we're doing it with lines. And now as I look at that, I've decided to make one additional change with a wider nibbed pen. You see, it just brings some offsetting color and more boldness to this area, which was getting a little white and doesn't really fill with, there's some real nice dark contrasts here. Now we're going to do something down here for the toon, and I've got one more tangle that'll fit there, but I'm happy with that. It's a simple little bow. We call it our bonus bow, right? And Gayle, how's yours coming along? Gayle's got hers ready for us here. Let's take a look. Nice.
Kind of in the same area.
I like how you did it. It's almost like you can see the little wrinkles of the material or the ribbon, if you will,
Yeah.
as it makes up that bow.
Either that or I made it look like a flower.
Or it's a flower, right. There you go. No, it looks really good. Again, you've tucked it real nicely behind some of your other elements.
Thanks.
You've left yourself your little space. We're kind of working in the opposite direction with
Yeah.
our final patterns. I like it, though. Nicely done. Let's look at a side by side. So mine colored and shaded with graphite, yours just lightly dusted with graphite. Nicely done. I like the contrast. I like being able to show. I did the little ribbon pieces, you did not.
No.
Beautiful. Excellent, Gayle. Thank you.
You're welcome.
As we wrap up today's session, I wanted to mention a couple things. First is the obvious. Tomorrow is Friday, October 31st, which means it'll be the last session of our Inktober series. And during that session, we're going to add the final tangle, and we'll take our final toon alert break and add another cartoon element to finish up our composition. But then the very next day, Saturday, November 1st, I'm planning to do a live session as sort of a project wrap-up. We'll take some questions, have a nice time to chat, and make some tweaks and adjustments and maybe some finishing details on our composition and just share that time together as a fun way to end this month-long project. But for now, we'll end this session, we'll say our goodbyes, and hope to see you all real soon back here in the Tangles and Toons channel. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.